was the first week back to school after summer break. Classes had just ended when dark clouds began to roll in. The sky outside the windows turned the color of ash, and thunder rumbled like a warning. Most students had already left, but 5 of us were still inside, waiting for the rain to ease before walking home. We thought it would be just a passing storm. But that night, the school itself became a prison. The power flickered once, twice, and then darkness. The emergency lights glowed faintly, painting the hallways red. We laughed nervously at first, but when we tried the doors, every single exit was locked. No teacher was left inside, no janitor, no security guard. Just us. We stayed close together, moving down the long corridor. The rain hammered the windows like fists. At first we thought it was one of us, but then we realized the footsteps weren't matching ours. They were behind us, and they were getting closer. We ducked into a classroom, shutting the door quietly. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the blackboards, the empty desks, and something else. A figure, standing at the very back of the room. When the lightning faded, the figure was gone. But on the chalkboard, words had appeared, scrawled in dripping white chalk. Stay until morning. One of us suggested checking the basement, where the generator was. Maybe we could turn the power back on. That was a mistake. The stairwell smelled of wet earth and rust. Our flashlight beams shook as we went down. In the basement corridor, dozens of lockers stood, old, unused, covered in dust, but every single one of them was rattling, like something was trapped inside. We ran back up, our hearts pounding. At the top of the stairs, we froze, because all the classroom doors were now open. Every single one. From the darkness, whispers floated out. But they weren't in English. They weren't in any language we knew. Midnight came. The storm grew worse. The buildings shook. And then, the old school bell rang. The rust what? No one had touched it. When we looked down the hall, we saw shapes moving. Figures of students, but pale, drowned, water dripping from their faces. They shuffled toward us, eyes dark, mouths open in silence. We sprinted, slamming into the main doors. And this time, they opened. Rain hit our faces. Lightning lit up the night. And we didn't stop running until the school was just a black shape behind us. And we turned back. The lights in the building were on again. And in one of the windows, we swore we saw someone watching us. The next day, classes went on as normal. Teachers acted like nothing had happened. But when we checked the chalkboard in that room, the writing was still there. Stay until morning. And that's why, on stormy nights, we never stay late at school anymore. Keeps you.
They say every old school hides secrets, but this one had a bell that should have never been touched. For decades, it hung in silence, iron rusted, rope torn, dust covering its frame. The basement kept it prisoner. Until that night. Harold, a senior student, wandered back after dark. He only wanted his notebook,
But he found the silence broken, a vibration deep in the walls, a metallic groan, and then the basement bell had rung. By morning, the courtyard had changed. Where grass once grew, soil had been overturned. A mound of dirt and a headstone. The name carved into it was Harold. The boy was alive, but pale, shaking. And when he looked at that grave, he swore he felt his heart slowing, as if the stone had stolen his future. The school buzzed with rumors. Teachers whispered in staff rooms. Students refused to look at the grave. But then, the bell rang again. Distance rippled through the corridors. Lockers shook. Windows rattled. And the next morning, another grave appeared. This time, carved with the name of a girl, alive, breathing. But her eyes were different, hollow, empty, as if the grave had already claimed her. Curiosity kills more than cats. And yet, a group of boys decided to go see the bell for themselves. They crept down the basement stairs, flashlights trembling, shadows crawling on the cracked walls. Distant was still, silent, but the closer they got, the colder the air became. One boy dared to touch the rope. The moment his fingers brushed it, the light bulbs shattered. Their screams echoed through the halls, and when teachers found them the next morning, there were 3 new graves. Rumors spread of a man, a shadow that wandered near the bell. Some said he was the original caretaker of the school. Others said he was buried long ago. But whenever the bell rang, someone saw him standing still behind the ropes. Faint whispering voices. He never spoke. He only watched. And the moment your eyes met his, the bell would toll again. The principal called a meeting, his face pale, hands shaking. He admitted the bell was never meant to exist. It wasn't for announcements or for fire drills. It was a curse, a warning, sealed in the basement after the first headmaster died. But someone had cut the rope free. Someone had awakened it. And now it could not be silenced. That night, the bell rang not once, not twice, but over and over. The ground shook. The courtyard split. Dozens of graves rising from the earth, each one carved with names of the living students inside the school. Panic, screams, doors slamming. But no one could leave. Every exit was sealed by soil, by stone, by graves waiting to be filled. Morning never came. The town found the school abandoned, desks empty, chairs overturned. But the courtyard, it was a cemetery now. Hundreds of graves, every student's name carved in stone. And in the basement, the bell still hung, silent, waiting. Until, if you ever hear a bell ring when no one touches it, do not look outside. Do not search for the sound, because the grave that appears next might already have your name on it.